Okay, 2.44b. What have we got? A box contains 3 red blocks and 2 yellow blocks. Jan, or possibly Jan, draws 3 blocks without replacement. And then we've got a series of questions here, A, B, C, D, E. So A, find the probability at least 1 yellow block is drawn. B, what's the probability that more red blocks than yellow blocks are drawn? C, what's the probability that the last block drawn is yellow? D, what's the probability the last block drawn is different than the color than the first block? Okay, so this is the sort of thing where we might use a tree diagram, a probability tree diagram, even to sort of sort things out. Okay, this sort of drawing without replacement, this is a classic style of question that we like. Okay. So let's use a tree. Okay. And just going back here, we start with 3 red blocks and 2 yellow blocks. So we draw 3 blocks without replacement, so you're automatically going to be drawing 3 blocks no matter what. Okay. But when Jan goes to draw the first block, it could be red or it could be yellow. Okay. And I always find with something like this where we're drawing without replacement, it's always good to keep a little sort of running tally. So at the start, 3 red, 2 yellow. So I'll just make a little note. So we start with 3 red, 2 yellow. So now if I've drawn a red block, I've got 2 reds left and 2 yellows left. On the other hand, if I draw a yellow, I'll draw 3 red, or I'll have 3 red left and only 1 yellow. Okay? And it's a good idea if you can to give little headings. You know, okay, that's the first draw. Okay? But then we don't put these back. Okay? So we go ahead and we draw again, and my second one, I could get a red or a yellow, red or a yellow. But again, you're going to want to keep track. So if I drew a red first, and then I draw a red again, I've got 1 less red. So we're down to 1 red and 2 yellows. Or maybe we're at 2 reds and 1 yellow if I just drew a yellow on my second draw. 2 reds, 1 yellow. And then down here, if I've drawn 2 yellows, so I drew a yellow and then I drew a yellow, I've got no more yellows to draw. And that's actually going to be kind of interesting because that will mean that my next draw is guaranteed to be red because the only thing left in the box is red. Okay? Everything else when I go and do my third draw is going to be red or yellow. Red or yellow, because there's still reds, there's still yellows left to pick. Okay? And I suppose you could just, in case we were going to do a 4th draw later on or something like that, you could keep track, Now I've drawn all the reds, so there's only 2 yellows left. Here we've got 1 red, 1 yellow left. 1 red, 1 yellow left. 2 reds left in this case. 1 red, 1 yellow. 2 reds, and 2 reds left. Okay. So these are my possibilities. I could start adding probabilities onto my tree. Okay. And, well, what could we do? So A here is find the probability at least 1 yellow block is drawn. So after I add my probabilities, I'm going to start looking for, all right, what paths have at least 1 yellow block drawn? But we've got to add our probabilities onto our tree. Okay. Now at the start, I've got 3 reds, I got 2 yellows. The chances of me getting a red are 3 out of 5. Getting a yellow, that's 2 out of 5. Okay. Now if I've drawn a red, I've got 2 reds, 2 yellows. So the chance of me picking a red is 2 out of 4, or we could say 1/2. And yellow is 2 out of the 4 that are still left. We do the same thing. There's 3 reds and 1 yellow left if my first draw was a yellow. So it's a 3 out of 4 chance that I get a red, a 1 out of 4 chance I get a yellow. Okay. And then it's a guaranteed, it's a 3 out of 3, I guess you could write, chance that I get a red on down here. Or 2 out of 3 that I get a red here, 1 out of 3 that I get a yellow. 2 out of 3 for a red, 1 out of 3 for a yellow. 1 out of 3 for red, 2 out of 3 for a yellow down here. Okay, just working out these probabilities because I was careful and I kept track of what I was doing each time. Okay, how much I had left for each particular thing. Okay. So now the first one, A here, is just saying, well, what's the probability that we get at least 1 yellow block drawn? Okay. There's a lot of paths from start to finish that have at least 1 yellow. In fact, just about everything except the situation where I draw only reds. So this is a classic example of sort of doing the opposite of what we want. Okay? The probability of at least one yellow would be 1 minus the probability of getting no yellows, and that would be getting all 3 reds. Okay? But that is very easy to work out. There's only one way to get all 3 of these being reds. Okay? Once we've figured out our paths, we multiply them together. So the probability of getting at least one yellow is 1 minus 3/5 times 2/4 times 1/3. And we can clean that up. The 3's cancel out. 2 over 4 is just 1/2. It's 1 minus 1/10. And we get 9/10 when we subtract the fraction. Now, how about the B part? Okay, B part is what we're asked about. What's the probability that more red blocks than yellow blocks will be drawn? Okay, so now I want to go through and I want to look for, well, what are the outcomes that have more red than yellow drawn? Okay. So let's be careful here. So this path here, we can get rid of sort of this work we did for A. Okay, so that path is already gone through. So this all reds, yeah, you're definitely going to have more reds than yellows. Or use a different color. If I do reds and then 1 yellow, yeah, that's going to be more. In fact, what we could probably do is say, well, this is 3 reds, this is 2 reds and 1 yellow drawn. Okay, a red, a yellow, and a red, well, that's 2 reds and 1 yellow drawn. Red, yellow, and yellow, so this path down here is 2 yellows, 1 red. I don't want that situation. Okay. 2 reds, 1 yellow, 2 yellows, 1 red, and 2 yellows, 1 red. I don't want more yellows than red. So what I need to do is figure out the probability of this path, and this path, and this path, and one more, this path down here, and then add them all up. Okay? But that's going to be 3/5 times 2/4 times 1/3 plus 3/5 times 2/4 times 2/3 plus 3/5 times 2/4 times 2/3, and then this one down here, 2/5 times 3/4 times 2/3. And we go ahead and we add those up. What was 1/3? Yeah, 1/3. Just simplify the fractions as best we can. And 2/5, 3/4, 2/3. 2/5, 3/4, 2/3. Okay, so what can we do? Well, the 3's will cancel out. 2 over 4 is 1/2. So we'll be left with 3 times 2 times 1. The 3's will cancel out. So this will be 1/5 times 1/2 times 1. Just trying to go a little slower. The 3's cancel out. These 2 2's cancel out with this 4. So we should just be left with a 5 on the bottom. 3's here. Again, these 2's and this 4 cancel out. So that's another 1/5. And then these 2 2's and this 4 cancel out. This 3 and this 3 cancel out. So again, 1/5. So 1/10 plus, I've got 3/5 here. And we add it all up, and we get 7/10 when all is said and done. So make your tree, identify your paths, and you're all set from there.